localwebradio.fm, your trusted voices on the Semiahmoo Peninsula.
Welcome to the Mortgage Newscast with Jared Dreyer, brought to you by Dreyer Group Mortgages. Now, here's your host.
Well, yes, Erik Reynolds here again, and I'm your host, and I'm here with Jared Dreyer, accredited mortgage professional and president of Dreyer Group Mortgages, a proud member of the Verico Brokers Network. And today we'll be talking with Jared about strategies for paying down your mortgage, including reasons why the homeowner would benefit from paying down their mortgage, options that lenders have available to help, accelerated payment options, and other strategies to reduce the principal on your mortgage. Now, before Jared joins us for this important topic, just a reminder that if you have questions or require assistance, you can reach Jared's team at Dreyer Group Mortgages at 1-800-687-9020. Again, that's 800-687-9020. Now, Jared, good afternoon again. It's great to be talking with you.
Great to be talking with you, Erik, and it's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you.
Well, I'm excited. They've all been helpful for me as a homeowner. My wife, we'll listen to the podcast together, but I don't want to take up time on my story. Let's talk about paying down your mortgage. So let me ask you this. What are some of the reasons why borrowers would want to pay down their mortgage?
Well, quite simply, we want to pay more of our principal down and less interest to the banks, right? So that's the main reason why we want to do that. We want to absolutely pay our house off sooner and pay less in interest costs and make the bank less money doing so. So Canadian mortgages, Erik, are set up in a way that you paid most of the interest in the first 5 to 7 years of your mortgage. And so your principal portion becomes larger after as your interest portion shrinks. And sort of the best way I can explain that to you is that it's like an RSP. As it accumulates, if you meet with any RSP financial planner or calculator, they'll tell you after 7 years, your RSP should start doubling out every 7 years. Well, your mortgage is actually kind of almost like the reverse of an RSP in a very simple format, in that you'll be able to pay down the mortgage faster. So the way you pay down, if you can make more frequently payments, you can adjust, which we'll get into more detail, you'll be able to pay down your mortgage even quicker, which will save you more money in the long run.
Well, let me ask you this. What are some of the options that lenders have available for borrowers to pay down their mortgage?
One of the key options you have is there's essentially 4 that are the best options. You have lump sum payments you can make. You can increase your mortgage payment. You can actually double up your monthly or weekly payments. And then, of course, my favorite is accelerated payment frequency options. So you can do accelerated weekly, bi-weekly payments, which will help you pay the mortgage much faster.
Now, Jared, can you explain how making additional payments or increasing your mortgage payment benefits the borrower?
Yeah, absolutely. It benefits the borrower because any lump sum payment that you make above and beyond your mortgage payment goes directly to the mortgage principal. So it pays down your mortgage faster. So any extra payments you make go directly towards principal, and none of it goes towards interest. So payments can be applied towards the principal, and it depends on what your lender's prepayment privilege options are, but they can be anywhere from 10% to up to 25% of the mortgage options. So if you increase, by choosing, say, an extra $150 a month on your mortgage as an example, the borrower will be able to reduce a mortgage balance at the end of 5 years by additional $28,650. And the remaining amortization will be reduced further to 16.5 years. So it's a huge savings for the potential purchaser.
Well, Jared, those are huge savings, and that is remarkable. And I have more questions I want to ask, but let's go ahead and take our break here. So we'll be right back with accredited mortgage professional Jared Dreyer. And when we return, we'll be discussing accelerated payment options and reducing your mortgage principal. We'll be right back.
The Mortgage Newscast with Jared Dreyer will return after a quick word from our sponsors.
Take control of your financial future with sound investing with Byron Stryloff, Senior Investment Advisor and Chartered Financial Planner with over 30 years of experience on the Business Channel on localwebradio.fm.
If you're struggling with a dental or oral health issue, be sure to catch the Healthy Smiles Oral Health Show with Dr. Norm Ickert on the Health Channel on localwebradio.fm.
Buying or selling a home on the Semiahmoo Peninsula? Catch up on local market conditions on This Week in Real Estate with Lance and Connie Marples from Sutton West Coast Realty on localwebradio.fm. To schedule a face-to-face consultation, you can reach Lance and Connie at 604-538-8888. That's 604-538-8888. And visit them online at www.surreywhiterockhomes.com. Now, back to the Mortgage Newscast with Jared Dreyer on localwebradio.fm.
All right, we're back with Jared Dreyer. We're discussing strategies for paying down your mortgage. So now, Jared, how does choosing an accelerated payment option instead of monthly payments affect the mortgage?
Well, Eric, many clients have extra cash to, may or may not have extra cash, I should say, to make extra lump sum payments, and then instead what they do is they choose accelerated bi-weekly or weekly payments versus monthly. And it's my recommendation, if you're not able to have the opportunity to make extra payments, definitely take accelerated weekly or bi-weekly payments. And what that does is the borrower ends up making an extra full month's payment over the course of a year. So if we look at it as an example here, if you have a $350,000 mortgage and you amortized it over 20 years and then you chose accelerated biweekly payments, the borrower will have reduced the mortgage balance at the end of 5 years by an additional $9,513, and the remaining amortization would be reduced as well. So it's a very significant savings for you by just increasing your extra payments for you. So I much rather hope that everyone takes advantage and learns from anything here to go accelerated weekly or bi-weekly payments, because it'll help you pay down that mortgage faster.
Then let me ask you this. You mentioned before the principal reduction strategy. Now, can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. The principal reduction strategy is essentially a strategy that we have put in place to actually help you pay down the mortgage a lot faster than you would if you took a conventional. Most of the times what people do is they take conventional 5-year fixed rates. And with our mortgage principal reduction, what we're trying to do is get you to pay down even more principal than interest compared to the bank. And one of the ways to do that is you have to qualify for this type of term. But what we recommend is that you take a variable rate mortgage, which is significantly lower right now. And it's sometimes up to 0.75% lower than what the 5-year fixed rate is. Right. But what you do is you make sure that your payments, that we set your payments up, as an example, at a 5-year fixed rate payment. So even though you're paying at 0.75 below, you're actually paying a lot higher. So you're paying more principal off right at the beginning. So what you're doing is essentially making more extra lump sum payments directly towards your principal. And by doing this, this can save you over 5 years in your mortgage in your first 5 years, and can also save you up to $26,000 depending on your amortization schedule that you're going to take. So it's a very great strategy in paying the least amount of interest and paying off the most amount of principal that you can take out there.
Well, Jared, that is just remarkable, and I appreciate the information. We're getting close to the end of the podcast, but before we go, do you have any final thoughts for the listeners?
Absolutely, Eric. And I think for final thoughts, what you want to look at is there's a lot of different ways to pay more principal of your mortgage off faster versus paying more interest to the financial institutions. So what you want to do is take advantage of those. And the sooner you get started on this, the quicker you can pay it off. Because, even if you switch your payments from monthly to accelerated weekly, even tomorrow, you're going to start paying off more principal and less interest. So if you want to save more money, take advantage of these options right away for yourself.
Well, Jared, as always, an insightful conversation. But unfortunately, just like last time and the time before, we are out of time. So for the listeners, if you know someone who owns a home and would have questions and would benefit from what we've talked about today, please go ahead and share this podcast with them. I'm sure they'll thank you for it. Now, if you have a mortgage question or are considering refinancing, you can reach Jared's team at Dreyer Group Mortgages at 1-800-687-9020. Again, that's 1-800 687-9020, or online at www.dreyergroup.ca. Again, that is www.dreyergroup.ca. Well, Jared, once again, for myself, the listeners, another great conversation. Thanks so much for talking with us today.
Really appreciate it, Eric.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about Dreyer Group Mortgages, visit www.dreyergroup.ca. That's www.dreyergroup.ca. Or call 604-536-3802. That's 604-536-3802.
localwebradio.fm